last season I came on here and I was drinking the Miami Hurricanes Kool-Aid, and it was tasting pretty damn good up until the last stretch of the season when it started to kind of become poison after Miami got into a slug out with Duke and they got upset by Georgia Tech and they lost to Kyle McCord and Syracuse. And that was the last time that I was willing to drink the Miami Kool-Aid because I felt that last year was Miami's best shot to win the ACC. And this season, despite Mario Cristobal overhauling the defense, spending a lot of money in the transfer portal to revamp the secondary, you bring in new defensive coordinator Corey Heatherman, who had outstanding defense at Minnesota. You got Carson Beck out of the transfer portal. You still are loaded on offense with an elite offensive line, good receivers, really good running backs. Miami, from a talent standpoint, is good enough to win the ACC this year. But that's the thing with Miami. Miami has always been good enough to win this conference, and yet they've been unable to. Why? Because the coaching hasn't been there. And the big reason why I'm hesitant to drink the Miami Hurricanes Kool-Aid is not because I'm a Mario Cristobal hater like how some of you guys make me out to be, but it's because I'm pessimistic because I've been in an abusive relationship as a fan of this team because anytime they have a big season when they win 9-10 games and you start believing that the next step is the ACC championship and possibly making it to the college football playoffs, what do? They always crash back down to earth. It's been like this for over the last 22 years. Miami has not had back-to-back double-digit winning seasons, and I don't see that changing this year under Mario Cristobal. My issue with Mario Cristobal is not that he is unable to recruit. We know that he's one of the best recruiters in college football. We also know that he is willing to make changes. And we also know that Mario Cristobal can get this team up for big games. At Oregon, he beat Ohio State on the road in Columbus. That's something that's doggone near impossible to do for any of the best coaches in college football to pull off. And I can see Miami beating Notre Dame week 1. My issue isn't that I don't trust Miami to win this year. I just don't trust them to win against the teams that they are expected to win against. Miami could easily beat Notre Dame in Florida and then lose to Louisville or SMU or slip up in their last 2 games against Virginia Tech and Pittsburgh because that's just what Miami has done over the last 2 decades. And it seems as if no matter who the head coach is, this is just a program that is just stuck at 10 wins. And I would like to believe that 10 wins is not Miami's ceiling. With the amount of money and resources that they have, they should be able to compete with the best of the best every single year. They shouldn't be losing to teams that they're expected to squash. But it's just a curse or some weird voodoo around Miami football that just makes it impossible for them to crack that 10-win ceiling wide open. And if Miami makes it to the ACC championship game, I'll be honest, I'll be shocked. Not because I'll be surprised that the team was talented enough to do so, because as I said earlier, the problem with Miami has never been talent for the last 8 years. Why people always hype up Miami in the offseason is because of the talent, the close proximity they have to blue chip talent. The issue is that the coaching always is a letdown in spots when you don't expect it to. And Mario Cristobal wasted a generational talent in Cam Ward. Carson Beck, I expect him to be good. But he's not going to be as good as what Cam Ward is because Cam Ward, quite frankly, was the greatest quarterback to ever put on a Hurricanes uniform based off what he did last season. He broke every single season passing record for Miami in just one lone season. He's going to crush it in the NFL. This was a generational talent. Guys like Cam Ward just don't grow on trees. not just from a performance standpoint, but everything he meant to this program from a leadership and character standpoint as well. And normally when you lose a player of that magnitude, unless the coaching is elite, there does tend to be a drop-off. I don't see Miami completely bottoming out this year, but I can see them winning 9 games this year, which to me would be a relatively disappointing season considering the amount of talent that they have, which has always been the case with Miami. When Mark Richt won 10 games, and at one point Miami was the front runners to make it into the college football playoffs, what happened? They slipped up at the end of the season, they lose the Pitt, and then they get stomped on by Clemson in an ACC title game. And then the year after that, the expectations were high. You thought that would have been a year that Miami could have potentially won this conference for the first time ever and made it to the playoffs. And what happened? They disappointed. Same thing with Al Golden. Before Mark Richt came, Al Golden was the head coach. He won 9 games. You thought that Miami was going to be able to break through, get the double-digit wins, win this conference for a change, and then they came right back down to earth. Same thing with Manny Diaz. It just seems like coaches that take this Miami job have a hard time being able to build off success. I'm not pessimistic about Miami this year because I have this deep-rooted hatred for Mario Cristobal. I'm more so am just a fan that's been here before. And let's not act like none of us other Miami fans haven't been here before. When I was drinking the Kool-Aid last year, a lot of you guys were telling me that you couldn't drink it for the same reasons that I'm giving you right now. And I'm not saying that Miami's going to suck this year. What I am saying is that I'm preparing myself for disappointment. I'm preparing myself for a 9-3 season because that's just what Miami has done. That's what Miami has made me comfortable with. Well, I won't say comfortable because I'm not comfortable with Miami not being able to build off successful double-digit winning seasons, but more so, I've grown to just be used to Miami, giving me one glimpse of hope that this team can finally get back to the level that they were in the early 2000s with Ray Lewis and Sean Taylor and company, but it's just a giant letdown year after year after year, and I'm more so rather have my expectations low and be surprised about Miami than have my expectations high for the Canes and be let down like how I was last season. And that's why I just can't drink the Kool-Aid this year. I just can't accept another letdown season when the expectations were that this was finally going to be the year Miami could win the conference. I'd rather be shocked than disappointed this year when it comes to this team.